A man was burning alive at 2:47 a.m. on a Phoenix street, and everyone just kept walking. The black SUV was engulfed in flames. A hand pounded against the window, weak, desperate, dying. 5 people saw it. 2 men smoking outside a shop, a woman at a bus stop, a couple with groceries. All of them turned their heads and walked away. Because in this neighborhood near the I-10, you don't ask questions about burning cars at 3 in the morning. You survive by staying invisible. You live by looking away. But Maya Rodriguez couldn't look away. Through the diner window, she watched that hand slapping the glass, getting weaker with each second. Her mother's last words echoed in her mind. "Don't look away when someone needs help, Misha." Maya had spent 3 years staying invisible, working 2 jobs, protecting her disabled brother, asking for nothing. One choice was about to destroy all of it. Run toward the fire, risk everything. Or walk away, stay safe, and become the person who lets strangers burn. Hit that like button and drop a comment. What would you do? Because what Maya pulled from those flames wasn't just a man. It was a secret that would bring an entire city to its knees. And the cost of her courage. That would silence Phoenix forever. Subscribe to the channel so you won't miss captivating stories like this. The Copper Moon Diner wasn't much to look at. Worn vinyl booths with duct tape holding the cracks together. Cracked tile floors that no amount of mopping could make shine. Fluorescent lights humming their lonely song at 2:30 in the morning. The place sat in a strip mall along Phoenix's industrial corridor near the I-10 freeway, squeezed between a shuttered payday loan office and a pawn shop with bars on the windows. This was the kind of neighborhood where auto shops and warehouses came alive after dark, where sirens were just background noise, and where smart people didn't ask questions. Maya Rodriguez moved between the tables with practiced efficiency, her dark hair pulled back in the same ponytail she'd worn for 3 years straight. 28 years old, and she looked both younger and older depending on the light. Her uniform was worn thin but impeccably clean. She made sure of that. Pride was one of the few things poverty hadn't taken from her yet. She wiped down the corner booth, calculating numbers in her head the way she always did. $47 in tips tonight. Diego's physical therapy, copay was $60. She'd covered the difference from her morning cleaning job. The math never quite worked, but somehow she always made it work. A soft knock at the back door pulled her from her thoughts. Hector, the homeless man who camped behind the strip mall. Maya grabbed the leftover fries from table 6 and poured a fresh coffee. "Bless you, Maya," Hector said, his weathered hands wrapping around the warm cup. "You're just like your mama, always looking out for people." The words hit her chest like they always did. 3 years, and it still hurt. Her mother, dying in an ER waiting room after 2 hospitals turned them away. No insurance meant no urgency. Maya had held her hand as she struggled to breathe, watching the minutes tick by, while people in scrubs walked past like they couldn't see them at all. Her mother's last words still echoed. "Don't look away when someone needs help, mija. That's how we stay human." Those words had become both Maya's anchor and her burden. Inside, the diner was quiet. Too quiet. Ramon, the night cook, kept glancing at the clock as he cleaned the grill. He'd barely said 3 words all shift. In the back office, Linda's voice drifted out, tense, careful, like she was talking to someone she was afraid of. Maya couldn't make out the words. Across the street, a woman waited at the bus stop. Strange, because buses didn't run this route after 2 a.m. The woman scrolled on her phone, occasionally lifting it like she was filming the empty street. Maya noticed, but didn't think much of it. She returned to wiping tables, watching the clock. 45 minutes until her shift ended, then the morning cleaning job. Then home to check on Diego, then sleep for maybe 4 hours before starting all over again. Maya had no idea that in 15 minutes, her mother's words would become a life or death test. If you've ever felt torn between doing what's right and protecting yourself, drop a comment below and subscribe so you don't miss what happens when ordinary people face impossible choices. The black Escalade came out of nowhere. Maya was at the window when she saw it blow through the intersection without even slowing down. No brake lights, no attempt to stop. The SUV swerved violently, clipped a light pole, and sparks exploded into the night like fireworks. The vehicle careened across 4 empty lanes, completely out of control, and slammed into the concrete barrier at the abandoned car wash directly across from the diner. The sound was devastating. Metal crushing, glass shattering. Then the hood popped open, and steam hissed into the air like a dying breath. For 10 seconds, nothing. Eerie, complete silence, the world holding its breath. Then Maya saw the orange glow. Small at first, just flames licking out from under the hood. But fire doesn't stay small. It spread with terrifying speed, crawling across the engine block, reaching toward the cab. Maya's eyes scanned the street. 5 people were visible. 2 men smoking outside the late-night mechanic shop took one look at the burning Escalade, stubbed out their cigarettes, and walked inside without a word. The woman at the bus stop lifted her phone and filmed for exactly 8 seconds before pocketing it and going back to scrolling. A couple walking from the convenience store. The man grabbed the woman's arm and pulled her to the opposite sidewalk, heads down, walking faster now. Nobody called 911. Nobody approached. Nobody even stopped walking. Maya understood immediately. Blacked out windows, no license plates. Wrong neighborhood for a random accident. This had Cartel written all over it, and in this part of Phoenix, you survived by staying invisible. You lived by looking away. Walk away, Maya whispered to herself. This isn't your business. Diego needs you alive, not heroic. But then she saw it. Movement in the front seat. A hand pressed against the driver's window, fingers splayed. Then it formed a fist and pounded against the glass. Weak, desperate, getting weaker. Someone was dying in there. Her mother's voice, clear as if she were standing right beside her. Don't look away when someone needs help. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. Her hands started shaking. Her mouth went dry. This was the impossible calculation. Her brother's future versus someone burning alive. If she crossed that street, she was marking herself. If she stayed here wiping tables, she became complicit in murder. I can't watch someone die, she breathed. Not again. She dropped the dish towel. Ramon saw her moving toward the door. Maya, don't. She turned. His face showed genuine terror, not concern. Terror. Someone's in there, she said. You don't know what you're doing. Please. Linda rushed out of the back office. Maya, I'm calling 911. Let them handle it. By the time they get here, whoever's in there will be dead. The flames were spreading faster now, crawling up the windshield. The muffled pounding was getting weaker. In maybe 60 seconds, there would be nothing left to save. Maya pushed through the door. The Phoenix night air hit her face, still warm even at this hour. It smelled like burning rubber and something chemical, gasoline maybe, or worse. Behind her, Ramon was shouting something, but the blood rushing in her ears drowned him out. She ran. 4 lanes of empty street stretched between her and the burning SUV. The industrial streetlights cast everything in sickly orange. Adrenaline overrode every survival instinct, every rational thought. Tunnel vision locked onto that hand against the window. She didn't know she was running toward a cartel lord. She didn't know this choice would cost her everything. She only knew someone was dying, and she was the only person willing to do something about it. The heat hit Maya like a physical wall. She reached the driver's side door and immediately had to shield her face. The flames had fully engulfed the hood now, black smoke billowing into the sky. Through the window, she could see him. A man slumped over the steering wheel, not moving. But she'd seen that hand. He was alive. She grabbed the door handle. Hot. Too hot. She yanked her hand back, hissing in pain, then grabbed the sleeve of her uniform and tried again. Locked. Of course it was locked. No, no, no! Maya looked around frantically. The abandoned car wash was a graveyard of broken equipment and rusted tools. She spotted a crowbar leaning against the wall 30 feet away. Precious seconds. She was wasting precious seconds. She sprinted to it, grabbed it, sprinted back. The flames were licking at the windshield now, the dashboard starting to melt. The chemical smell was overwhelming. Maya rammed the crowbar into the corner of the driver's window. The glass spiderwebbed, but didn't break. She hit it again, harder, putting every ounce of strength she had into it. The window shattered inward. Smoke poured out instantly. Maya choked, her eyes burning, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't see, couldn't breathe. But she reached through the broken window, felt around for the lock, found it. The jagged glass sliced her forearm open. She didn't even notice. The door opened, and the man fell halfway out, dead weight. In the flickering firelight, Maya got her first clear look at him. Latino, early 40s, expensive clothes completely wrong for this neighborhood. His white dress shirt was soaked through with blood, not from the crash, from a gunshot wound in his abdomen. He'd been shot. This wasn't an accident. This was an execution. He was clutching something in his hand, a blood-soaked manila envelope, and even unconscious, he wouldn't let go. Maya grabbed him under the arms and pulled. God, he was heavy, at least 190, and she weighed maybe 125 soaking wet. Her feet slipped on the pavement. She pulled harder, using her legs, her back, everything. 3 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet from the vehicle. The fire spread to the cab interior. The seats caught. The steering wheel was melting. Maya dragged him 20 feet away and collapsed beside him on the pavement, her lungs screaming for air. Every breath tasted like smoke and chemicals. She looked at his face, barely breathing, lips moving soundlessly. She pressed her hands to the gunshot wound in his abdomen. Warm blood soaked through her fingers immediately, sticky and dark. Too much blood. He was losing too much blood. His eyes fluttered open for just a second, unfocused, looking at her but not seeing her. His lips moved, a whisper barely audible. Sophia. Then his eyes closed again. Maya looked up at the street, still empty. Not one person had come to help. The woman at the bus stop had vanished completely. The mechanics stayed inside their shop. The couple was long gone. Sirens, finally, in the distance. Someone from the diner must have called. Behind her, the Escalade was fully engulfed now, flames reaching 15 feet into the sky. The heat was intense even at this distance. Maya knelt there in a pool of someone's blood. Her uniform smoke-stained and ruined, her arm bleeding, her hands pressed to a stranger's wound. She looked down at his face and thought one thing. Who are you? What have I just done? Beside him, the blood-soaked envelope lay open, papers scattered, columns of numbers, names she didn't recognize. She didn't pick it up. Not yet. The ambulance arrived 5 minutes after the crash. In real time, it felt like forever. The paramedics saw Maya's hands pressed to the wound and ran over. Good, keep that pressure. You probably saved his life. They took over with practiced efficiency. GSW to abdomen, 2nd and 3rd degree burns on legs, smoke inhalation, BP is dropping. One paramedic started an IV while the other checked vitals. They moved fast, loading him onto a stretcher within 90 seconds. A younger paramedic turned to Maya. You need medical attention too. That's a deep cut on your arm and you've inhaled smoke. Maya shook her head. I'm fine. I need to get back to work. He looked at her like she was crazy. You're a hero, you know that? Maya didn't feel like a hero. She felt like she'd just made a terrible mistake. 2 Phoenix PD units pulled up as the ambulance drove away. A detective in his mid-40s approached, badge clipped to his belt. Detective James Krause. He had that cop look, seen everything, surprised by nothing. "I need a statement," he said, pulling out a notepad. Maya walked him through it, the crash, the fire, dragging the man out. Simple facts. Krause asked careful questions, the kind that seemed casual but weren't. "Did you see anyone else? Any other vehicles? Did he say anything to you?" "He said a name," Maya replied. "Sophia, I think. That's all." Something shifted in Krause's expression. Subtle, but Maya saw it. That name meant something to him. He wrote down her contact information, the diner's address. "We'll need a formal statement tomorrow. Don't leave town." "I work 2 jobs and take care of my brother," Maya said. "I'm not going anywhere." Krause walked away to talk to his partner, but he kept glancing back at her. The fire department arrived to contain the vehicle fire. One firefighter picked up the blood-soaked envelope from the pavement and brought it to Krause. "Detective, this was next to the victim." Krause's face went carefully neutral as he looked inside. He sealed it in an evidence bag with unusual care, like it was more valuable than evidence usually was. Maya watched from 20 feet away. Something about the way he handled that envelope made her uneasy, but she was too exhausted to process what it meant. Maya walked back across the street, and that's when the adrenaline finally crashed. Her legs shook. Her cut arm throbbed with every heartbeat. Her uniform was ruined with blood and smoke stains. She looked like she'd walked through a war zone. Linda was waiting at the door. "Get your things. You're done." Maya blinked. "What? I just saved someone's life. You abandoned your post during your shift. I can't have that kind of unreliability." This wasn't about reliability. Maya could see it in Linda's eyes. Fear. Raw, genuine fear. Linda lowered her voice. "Maya, I like you. I really do. But you don't understand what you just did. That wasn't a random accident. This diner has stayed safe for 10 years because we mind our business. We don't see things. We don't get involved. That's how we survive here." Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. "Who was he?" Linda just shook her head. "Get your things." Ramon was waiting in the back room when Maya went to grab her purse. His face looked pale, sick. "You don't know who that was, do you?" he asked quietly. "Some guy in an Escalade. Does it matter?" "That was Mateo Salazar." Ramon's voice was barely above a whisper, like saying the name too loud would summon something terrible. "He's second in command for the Sinaloa distribution network in Phoenix." The floor seemed to tilt under Maya's feet. Ramon continued, words spilling out. "If he lives, his people will want to know who you are, what you saw. If he dies, his enemies will want to make sure there are no witnesses. Either way, Maya, you're visible now, and in this business, being visible gets you killed." "I didn't know," Maya breathed. "I just saw someone dying." "That's the problem." Ramon looked at her with something like pity. "In this neighborhood, knowing too much gets you killed, but not knowing doesn't protect you if you've already acted." Linda appeared with an envelope, Maya's final paycheck plus 2 weeks severance. "I'm sorry, I really am, but I have to protect my business and everyone who works here." She pressed another envelope into Maya's hands, heavier. 500, for me personally. Get your brother and lay low for a while." Maya understood then. The diner had been paying protection money, probably to Mateo's organization. By saving him, she'd disrupted some delicate balance she didn't even know existed. She took the money because she had no choice. Diego's therapy appointment was in 6 hours. The rent was due in 8 days. Pride was a luxury she'd stopped being able to afford a long time ago. Maya just learned the truth. Sometimes doing the right thing makes you a target from all sides. Have you ever been punished for trying to help? Share your story in the comments. And hit subscribe, because what happens in the next 72 hours will test everything Maya believes about justice and survival. Maya should have gone home. She should have checked on Diego, cleaned herself up, tried to sleep. Instead, she found herself driving her barely functional 2009 Honda Civic to Phoenix General Hospital. The engine made that concerning rattle it had been making for 3 months, the one she couldn't afford to fix. She told herself she just needed to know if he survived, then she could move on, put this whole nightmare behind her. The ER receptionist looked up when Maya walked in, still wearing her smoke-stained uniform, her bandaged arm visible. "Can I help you?" "The man from the burning vehicle. Is he? Are you family?" "I'm the one who pulled him out." The receptionist's expression shifted. Recognition mixed with something else. Was that fear or respect? "He's in surgery, critical but stable. There are police outside his room." Maya sat in the waiting room and watched. Over the next 2 hours, exhaustion settled into her bones, but she couldn't look away from the parade of people asking about Mateo Salazar. 2 Latino men in expensive suits approached the police officers stationed outside surgery. They were turned away. They made phone calls, their voices low and urgent, then left without looking at anyone. A woman in her 60s arrived, clearly distressed, makeup smeared from crying. Mateo's mother, Maya, would later learn. The police let her through. Then a teenage girl, maybe 17, with red, swollen eyes. She was crying so hard she could barely speak. The police let her through immediately. Mateo's daughter, Sophia. Maya's stomach twisted. The name he'd whispered while bleeding out on the pavement. Not a mistress, not a partner. His daughter. Detective Krause returned, saw Maya still sitting there, and walked over. "Couldn't stay away? I just needed to know if he'd make it." Krause sat down beside her. "He's alive because of you. The surgeon said 10 more minutes and he'd have bled out. Another 5 and the fire would have reached the gas tank. That Escalade would have exploded with him in it. You're a genuine hero, Maya." "I heard who he is. I didn't know." "Does it matter?" Krause asked. "Would you have left him there if you knew?" Maya went quiet, really considering the question. Would she have? "I don't know. Maybe. Probably I should have." "But you didn't, and now you're a problem." "A problem for who?" "Everyone." Krause's voice was flat, matter of fact. "His organization doesn't like loose ends. His enemies will assume you saw something that can identify them. And the Phoenix PD would really like to know what he said to you, what you saw in that vehicle, and whether you noticed anything useful." He pulled out his phone and showed her a photo array. 6 faces. "Any of these familiar? Anyone at the scene?" Maya looked at each face carefully. She shook her head honestly, but one face made her pause for half a second. She didn't know why. Something about the eyes. Krause noticed immediately. "That one?" "No, I don't know. I didn't see anyone clearly. It was dark and I was focused on the fire." Krause handed her his card. "When you remember something, and you will, our brains are funny that way. Call me. Don't wait. And Maya..." His voice dropped. "Go home. Lock your doors. Don't talk to anyone about this." Maya left the hospital as dawn broke over Phoenix. The sky was beautiful, orange and pink and purple, the kind of morning that promised heat. She'd never felt colder in her life. Maya opened the apartment door at 6:15 a.m. Diego was awake in the living room, still in his wheelchair, textbook open on his lap. He looked up and his face went pale. "Holy shit, Maya, what happened?" She hadn't looked in a mirror, hadn't thought about what she must look like. Blood-stained, smoke-damaged, exhausted beyond words. Diego rolled closer, his hands reaching for hers. "Are you hurt? What?" And Maya broke. The fear she'd been holding back for hours came flooding out. She collapsed onto the couch and told him everything while he held her hand. The crash, the fire, dragging out Mateo Salazar, getting fired, the hospital, everything. Diego's initial reaction was pride. His eyes actually lit up. You saved someone's life. Maya, Mom would be so proud of you. Mom would tell me I just put you in danger. I'm not a kid anymore. Diego squeezed her hand. And you did exactly what she taught us. You didn't look away. But fear crept into his voice. This cartel guy, though, do you think they'll come after you? I don't know. Everyone keeps telling me I'm in danger, but no one's actually threatened me. Maybe they'll just forget about me. Maybe I'm not important enough to matter. Diego started to respond, then stopped. Wait, you said you got fired? Maya nodded. And I can't go to my cleaning job looking like this. How much do we have saved? Enough for maybe 6 weeks if we're careful. They both did the math silently. 6 weeks wasn't enough time to find new work and rebuild their emergency fund before rent, and Diego's therapy bills crushed them. Diego's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then his face went pale. Maya? He turned the screen toward her. An email from his physical therapy clinic. Account paid in full. 3 months advance credit applied to account. Anonymous donor. Maya's hands started shaking. That's $4,500. Someone just paid $4,500 for your therapy. They looked at each other, both thinking the same thing. That's not possible, Diego whispered. Why would... I don't know, but I don't think it's a coincidence. The revelation planted something in Maya's mind, a seed of doubt. Maybe Mateo Salazar wasn't just a monster. Maybe there was something more complicated happening here. But the money felt tainted. Blood money paying for her brother's healing, drug money helping him walk again. We can't accept this, Maya said. Can we afford not to? Diego's voice was small. If you're out of work, Maya, we're 2 weeks from losing the apartment. My therapy is the only thing keeping me from getting worse. Can we really afford to be righteous right now? It was an impossible choice. Take cartel money or lose Diego's chance at recovery, keep her moral purity, or keep her brother's hope alive. All money in this neighborhood is blood money, Maya finally said. We just usually don't see where it comes from. At least this blood money is trying to do something good. Diego looked at her. That's not what Mom would have said. No, Maya agreed. But Mom's dead, and we're still here, trying to survive in the world she left us. The words felt like betrayal, even as she spoke them, but they were also true. At 9 a.m., both Maya and Diego had dozed off on the couch, exhaustion finally winning. The loud knocking jolted them awake. Maya looked through the peephole. Her heart stopped. 2 men in expensive suits, the same 2 from the hospital. Who is it? She called through the door. Maya Rodriguez? We need to talk. The voice was smooth, polite, but something underneath made her skin crawl. Don't open it, Diego whispered. If I don't, they'll wait, or they'll come back, or worse. Maya took a breath and opened the door, keeping the chain lock engaged. The gap was only 6 inches, but she could see him clearly now. Miguel, mid-30s, tailored suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Polite smile that didn't reach his eyes. Ms. Rodriguez, we represent Mr. Salazar's family. The second man, Carlos, said nothing, just watched. That was somehow worse. Mr. Salazar's mother wanted us to personally thank you for saving her son's life. Miguel held up an envelope. Please, take this. It's cash. $10,000. A token of appreciation. Maya didn't reach for it. I don't want money. I did what anyone would do. Miguel's smile faded slightly. But you're not anyone, Ms. Rodriguez. You're the woman who crossed the street when everyone else walked away. That makes you special. The way he said special sounded like a threat. The money isn't optional. Mr. Salazar's family pays its debts. Always. He paused meaningfully. And we protect people who help us. Phoenix can be a very dangerous city. Are you threatening me or offering protection? Miguel's smile returned. Both. Neither. I'm simply explaining how things work. You're part of this now, whether you intended to be or not. Carlos spoke for the first time, his voice flat. Did the police ask you questions? They took a statement. I told them what I saw, a car accident and a fire. Good. Miguel nodded approvingly. That's what it was. An accident. Nothing more. You saw nothing else. You heard nothing else. Keep the money. Don't talk to the police again without a lawyer present. And Ms. Rodriguez? Miguel looked past her to where Diego sat in his wheelchair, watching with frightened eyes. Your brother's therapy costs are covered for a year now, not 3 months. Mr. Salazar is very generous to people who demonstrate loyalty. He placed the envelope on the door frame and walked away. Maya closed the door and stared at the envelope like it might explode. You can't take that, Diego said. What if refusing insults them? What if this is the test? Accept their gratitude or mark yourself as ungrateful. Her hands shook as she picked it up. What if saying no is more dangerous than saying yes? Inside, $100 bills, exactly $10,000, more money than either of them had ever seen at once. This is blood money, Diego whispered. All money in this neighborhood is blood money, Maya repeated. We just usually don't see where it comes from. 2 days after the fire, Maya was at the corner store buying groceries, ramen noodles, eggs, the cheapest bread on the shelf. Counting every dollar because unemployment didn't start for another week, and Diego's next therapy appointment was in 3 days. She was loading bags into her car when someone approached. A woman, mid-30s, professional clothes, confident stride. Maya Rodriguez. Maya's hand froze on the car door. She looked up and her stomach dropped. It was the woman from the bus stop. The one who'd filmed the burning SUV and walked away. The woman pulled out credentials, showed them quickly. Sarah Chen, DEA Special Agent. I need 5 minutes. Not here. There's a coffee shop 2 blocks away that's neutral territory. Maya's first reaction was relief. Official help. Finally, someone legitimate who could make sense of this nightmare. Then the reality hit. DEA. Federal agents. She was in deeper than she'd thought. Neutral territory from who? Everyone. Maya almost walked away right then, threw her groceries in the car and drove home, and pretended this conversation never happened. But curiosity pulled at her, and maybe hope. Maybe this woman had answers. Maybe this was the way out. The coffee shop was small, quiet, half empty. Sarah picked a corner table with a clear view of the door. Maya noticed that detail. Everything about this woman screamed trained paranoia. I've been building a case against Mateo Salazar's organization for 18 months, Sarah said without preamble. You just handed me the break I needed. I don't know anything. I pulled a man from a fire. You touched that envelope. Your fingerprints are all over it, literally and legally. Maya's stomach dropped. What envelope? The one Mateo was clutching when you dragged him out. Financial records, ledgers, transaction logs, offshore account information. 30 people have died to keep those records hidden. Phoenix PD has it in evidence lockup right now. 30 people. The number hung in the air between them. Then you don't need me. I do, because I don't trust Phoenix PD. Sarah pulled out a tablet and swiped through photos. Detective Krause meeting with men in expensive suits. Bank statements showing deposits that didn't match a cop's salary. Time-stamped images of Krause entering known cartel safe houses. Those records implicate 9 police officers, 3 judges, and a city council member, Sarah said. Krause is trying to figure out if you saw anything that could expose him before he and his partner helped arrange Mateo's death. The first major twist hit Maya like a physical blow. The police weren't trying to catch criminals. They were the criminals. He tried to kill Mateo? Him or his partner arranged it. Mateo was planning to turn informant. We had a preliminary agreement. Someone found out. Sarah's voice was flat, factual. So the car crash wasn't an accident. It was an execution attempt. 2 shots to the abdomen, vehicle forced off the road, left to burn. Meant to look like a cartel hit. You weren't supposed to save him. Maya tried to process this. Every conversation with Kraus replayed in her mind with new context. The careful questions, the way he'd handled that envelope, the threat disguised as concern. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to testify, federal grand jury, about what you saw, what Kraus said to you, the timeline of events. And I need you to go on record about the money Miguel gave you. How do you know about... Then Maya realized. You've been watching me. Protecting you, Sarah corrected. There's a difference. Sarah leaned forward. I can offer you witness protection, you and your brother, new identities, relocation, financial support. Diego's in a specialized therapy program. His therapist knows his case, his body, his injury patterns. We can't just leave. The alternative is staying here with a target on your back from 3 directions. Sarah pulled up more photos on her tablet. Mateo's organization because you're a witness. The people who tried to kill him because you saved him. And corrupt cops because you might have seen something that exposes them. She swiped to crime scene photos. Bodies. Blood. Maya turned her head away. These people don't make threats, Sarah said. They just act. This was a witness who refused to cooperate. This one changed her mind at the last minute. This one tried to run. Then why hasn't anyone hurt me yet? Because they're all waiting to see what you know and who you talk to. Right now, you're more valuable alive as an intelligence source. The moment that calculation changes, Sarah let the implication hang in the air. Maya felt like she was drowning. What happens to Mateo? If he survives and cooperates, witness protection. If he survives and doesn't cooperate, he's prosecuted for 43 counts of drug trafficking, racketeering, and money laundering. And if I don't cooperate? Sarah's voice softened slightly. I arrest you for obstruction of justice and accepting bribery from a criminal organization. I don't want to. But I will if it's the only way to keep you alive and get this case to trial. You're blackmailing me to do the right thing. I'm giving you a reality check. You're already in this. The question is whether you get out alive. Maya stood to leave. Her chair scraped against the floor too loudly. I need to think. Sarah grabbed her wrist gently but firmly. You have 48 hours. After that, Kraus will escalate. Either he arrests you on false charges to discredit you as a witness, or he makes sure you have an accident. I've seen him do both. She pressed a phone into Maya's hand. Small, cheap-looking burner phone. This connects directly to me. If anything feels wrong, you call. Day or night. I don't care what time it is. Maya took the phone and walked out into the bright Phoenix afternoon. Her whole life had been about staying invisible, asking for nothing, owing no one, working her shifts, taking care of Diego, existing in the margins where people like her were supposed to stay. In one night, she'd become the center of a criminal investigation that could topple half of Phoenix's power structure. And everyone wanted something from her. The DEA wanted her cooperation. The cartel wanted her silence. Corrupt cops wanted her gone. Mateo wanted her understanding. Even her brother wanted her to choose his safety over everything else. But what did Maya want? She didn't even know anymore. She'd spent 3 years working 2 jobs and calculating tips and covering co-pays. Survival didn't leave room for wants. You took what you could get, and you were grateful for it. Now she had to choose. Testify and risk everything, or stay silent and become the kind of person who looked away. The kind of person her mother had taught her never to be. It wasn't really a choice at all. Day 4 after the incident, Maya returned to the hospital. She'd spent 3 days turning everything over in her mind, and she kept coming back to one question. Was Mateo Salazar a monster or something more complicated? She needed to look him in the eye and find out. She expected to be turned away at the door. Instead, Miguel was there, and he smiled when he saw her. "Ms. Rodriguez, he's been asking for you." That was answer enough. This meeting wasn't random. Mateo had wanted this. The hospital room was private, expensive. Flowers covered every surface. Roses, lilies, elaborate arrangements that cost more than Maya made in a week. A lawyer sat in the corner, silent but watching. Mateo was awake, propped up in bed, IV lines running from both arms. He looked weak but alert. "I understand you're the reason I'm alive," he said. Maya stayed near the door, keeping her escape route clear. "I saw someone dying. I didn't know who you were." Would it have mattered? Maya considered lying, then didn't. "I don't know. I'd like to think no, but maybe it would have." Mateo smiled slightly. He appreciated honesty. "I'm told you refused the money. I'm told it's not optional." "Nothing I touch is optional. That's the nature of power built on fear." First hint of self-awareness. He knew exactly what he was. "You have a brother," Mateo continued. "Diego. Spinal injury from a hit and run 3 years ago." Maya went cold. "Don't." "I'm not threatening him." Mateo's voice was calm, measured. "The hit and run driver was one of my couriers, drunk, panicked, never reported it. I found out 6 months ago when I was reviewing liability issues. I've been paying for Diego's therapy anonymously since then." The second major twist. Their families had been connected for 6 months, and Maya never knew. "You've known about us for 6 months? And done nothing but try to make amends. I have a daughter Diego's age, Sophia. She's in your brother's community college program." Maya remembered. Diego had mentioned a study partner named Sophia, never mentioned her last name, never mentioned she was brilliant and kind and funny, never mentioned he might be falling for her. "I build escape routes, Ms. Rodriguez." Mateo's voice had gone raw now, vulnerable. "For kids from neighborhoods like yours and mine. Scholarships, job programs, legitimate businesses that hire people with records, blood money buying clean futures." He looked at her directly. "I can't undo what I've done, but I can make sure the next generation doesn't have to make the choices I made. My daughter thinks I'm an import-export. She has no idea what I really do. I've kept her separate from all of this." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because the DEA agent watching you is going to ask you to testify against me, and I want you to understand what your testimony will destroy. Not just the criminal enterprise that deserves to be destroyed, but the only thing I've built that's worth anything. Those scholarships, those jobs, those kids who get out." Maya felt the weight of it. Testifying meant destroying not just a cartel boss, but a father trying to redeem himself. It meant taking away Sophia's father and Diego's friend's future and dozens of kids' college funds. Nothing in this situation was simple. Nothing was clean. And Maya was tired of pretending there were easy answers. Maya came home that evening to find Diego and Sophia studying at the kitchen table. Calculus textbooks spread out between them, Sophia explaining something with animated hand gestures while Diego laughed. First time seeing them together, knowing who Sophia really was, who her father really was. Sophia looked up and smiled. 17, beautiful, bright-eyed, completely unaware that her entire world was about to implode. "You must be Diego's sister. I've heard so much about you." No idea Maya had saved her father's life 4 days ago. "Sophia's been helping me with differential equations," Diego said. "She's a genius." Sophia blushed. "My dad always says education is the only thing nobody can take from you." The innocent irony hit Maya hard. Sophia's father had built an empire taking things from people, their health, their families, their futures. But he'd taught his daughter to value education. Both things were true. Sophia stayed for dinner. Simple pasta, garlic bread, salad from a bag. She helped set the table, joked with Diego, talked about her college plans, engineering at Arizona State. She wanted to design prosthetics, medical devices for people who couldn't afford them. Every dream she had was funded by her father's crimes and his desperate attempt at redemption. After Sophia left, Diego looked at Maya. "You okay? You've been weird all night." Maya sat down heavily. "Sophia's father is Mateo Salazar." Diego's face drained of color. "What? No. She said her dad is an import-export." "That's technically true." "Oh God." Diego's hands shook. "She has no idea, does she?" "No. And Mateo wants to keep it that way." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. If I testify, I destroy her father. She'll learn the truth. Her scholarship money, probably all criminal proceeds. She might lose everything. But if I don't testify, I could go to prison for obstruction, or worse." "There's no good choice here," Diego said quietly. "Everyone you help, you hurt someone else." "Welcome to being poor in America," Maya said, hearing the bitterness in her own voice. "Every choice is impossible because the system doesn't give us clean options. We just choose which way we want to lose." The thematic statement hung between them. Moral action in immoral systems always costs something. The question was, what you could live with losing. Maya just discovered the truth is never simple. The monster has a daughter. The blood money is paying for dreams. Have you ever realized someone you judged wasn't who you thought? Drop your story below and subscribe, because what happens when all of Maya's dangerous secrets collide will leave you breathless. Over the next 3 days, Maya became aware of constant surveillance. A black SUV parked across from their apartment at odd hours. Different cars, but always someone watching. The same maintenance man from the hospital mopping the floor outside Diego's therapy clinic. Too clean to need that much mopping. A woman in the coffee shop who always arrived 5 minutes after Maya and sat 2 tables away. Was it paranoia or a real threat? Both, it turned out. Maya used the burner phone Sarah had given her. "I'm being followed." "I know." Sarah's voice was calm. "We're 3 of them. The others aren't ours." "How many others?" At least 2 teams that we've identified. Cartel watching us, watching them, watching you. It's like a very dangerous game of telephone." "This is insane." "This is what it looks like when you're at the center of a $500 million criminal case," Sarah said matter-of-factly. Day 7 after the incident, Diego shook Maya awake at 6 a.m. "You need to see this." He shoved his phone in her face. Twitter, a video with 4 million views and climbing. Waitress risks life to save man from burning SUV while bystanders walk away. Maya's blood turned to ice. It was the bus stop footage. Sarah Chen's camera had captured everything. Maya silhouetted against the flames, breaking the window with the crowbar, dragging Mateo's body across the pavement, and in the background, visible and damning, 5 people deliberately walking away. The comment section had exploded. "This is the only real hero in America right now." "Why did everyone else just walk away? What's wrong with us?" "Phoenix should give this woman a medal." "Anyone know who she is? We should start a GoFundMe." News outlets were picking it up. Phoenix Waitress becomes viral hero. Local stations running the footage on loop. National news calling her a symbol of moral courage in a cynical age. Maya called Sarah. "You leaked this. I made you too famous to kill quietly. Best protection I can offer." "You made me bait." "I made you valuable," Sarah corrected. "There's a difference. Now everyone's watching. If something happens to you, it's national news. That limits their options. It also means I can never disappear again." "You were never going to disappear, Maya." "This just weaponizes your visibility." Maya watched the video play again. The witnesses walking away had become the story almost as much as her rescue. Phoenix was being forced to confront its culture of silence. Why did no one help? What kind of city had they become? Local news wanted interviews. Maya refused all of them, but the damage was done. She was now the face of moral courage in a city built on looking away. 4 million people had watched her cross that street. 4 million people were asking themselves what they would have done. The video kept spreading. By day 8, it hit 10 million views. By day 9, 20 million. News segments about bystander effect. Think pieces about urban apathy. Phoenix residents calling into radio shows, some defending the witnesses, most condemning them. Maya had become a mirror held up to a city's conscience, and Phoenix didn't like what it saw reflected back. She was no longer invisible. She was the most visible person in Arizona, and that made her more dangerous than ever to everyone. Day 9, early morning. Maya was making coffee when the loud banging started. She looked through the peephole and her heart stopped. Detective Kraus, 3 other officers, all armed. Maya Rodriguez, open up. We have a warrant. She opened the door, and Kraus pushed through without waiting. Diego rolled out of his bedroom, eyes wide with fear. Maya Rodriguez, you're under arrest for receiving stolen property, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy to distribute controlled substances. Completely fabricated charges. Maya knew it instantly. Based on the $10,000 from Miguel, the money she'd been forced to accept. She saved someone's life, Diego shouted. She accepted payment from a known drug trafficker. That's a federal crime. Kraus pulled out handcuffs, made a show of it. Turn around. The metal clicked around her wrists. Cold, tight, intentionally humiliating. He walked her out of the apartment while neighbors watched through cracked doors. A perp walk designed to destroy her credibility before she could testify. Miguel was watching from across the street. He did nothing. Just observed, hands in pockets, face neutral. The DEA surveillance team was also watching. They did nothing either, waiting to see how this played out. At the precinct, they processed her. Fingerprints, photos, the full criminal treatment. Then they put her in an interrogation room and left her there for 6 hours. No lawyer, no phone call, no charges formally filed. Just her and the clock and growing fear for Diego, home alone and vulnerable. Finally, Kraus entered. He sat down across from her, studied her face. You ready to tell me the truth about what Mateo said to you? I want a lawyer. You can have a lawyer when you're charged. Right now, we're just talking. I'm not talking to you. Kraus leaned close. She could smell coffee on his breath. Your brother is home alone. Hit-and-run victims have such bad luck in this city. Strange how they seem to happen in clusters. Maya's blood went cold. A direct threat against Diego. Not even subtle anymore. Or we can make this easy, Kraus continued. You tell me you never saw any envelope, never heard Mateo say anything, and you refuse to cooperate with any federal investigation. I release you right now. Charges disappear. Life goes back to normal. Nothing about my life is normal anymore. It can be, if you're smart. Maya met his eyes, saw desperation there beneath the cop bravado. He was scared. The financial records in that envelope implicated him, and Maya was the witness who could corroborate their authenticity. What happens to Mateo? She asked. Not your problem. But Maya understood fully now. They were going to finish what they started. Kill Mateo in the hospital and blame it on cartel rivals, and eliminate Maya if she didn't cooperate. This was about survival, Kraus's survival, and he'd kill anyone who threatened it. Maya had been in that interrogation room for 7 hours when the door burst open. Sarah Chen strode in with 3 federal agents and an assistant U.S. attorney in an expensive suit. Detective Kraus, you're arresting my witness? Kraus stood slowly. Your witness accepted a $10,000 bribe from a cartel lieutenant. The AUSA stepped forward. That was marked evidence in an ongoing federal investigation. She was operating under direct instruction from the DEA. A lie, but an effective one. I wasn't informed, Krause said, because you're under investigation yourself. Maya Rodriguez is released into federal custody immediately. Sarah's voice had gone ice cold. Official. This was the full weight of federal authority pressing down on one corrupt cop. Standoff. Local cops versus federal agents. For 30 seconds, nobody moved. Maya sat there in handcuffs, watching power structures collide. The precinct captain arrived, took in the scene. Let her go, Krause. Krause's face showed he knew he'd lost this round. He unlocked Maya's handcuffs himself, roughly. As she passed him, he leaned close. This isn't over. You made a choice today. Maya stopped, looked him in the eye. So did you. Sarah drove Maya home with a federal escort, 2 cars, 4 agents, full protection detail. Diego met them at the door, frantic. What happened? They said you were arrested. Sarah didn't waste time. We're moving you to a safe house tonight, both of you. Pack 1 bag each, essentials only. What about my therapy? Diego's voice cracked. My classes? Postponed. Your sister is testifying before a federal grand jury in 3 days. Until then, you're both in protective custody. And after the grand jury? Maya asked. Depends on what they decide. If they indict, full trial, you'll be a key witness. Witness protection becomes permanent. Permanent? Diego looked at Maya. As in, we never come back to Phoenix? As in, you become different people. New names, new city, new life. Diego's face crumpled. Sophia, Maya turned to Sarah. What about her? Mateo's daughter. She's at risk too. If her father's cooperating with federal authorities, his enemies will know. She's leverage. She's not my responsibility. But she'll be a target, Maya pressed. You know she will. Sarah considered this, then nodded slowly. I can offer her protection too, but she'll have to know the truth about her father. Everything. Let me tell her, Maya said. She deserves to hear it from someone who cares. Sarah looked at her for a long moment. You have 2 hours to pack. Then we move. Both of you. Maya and Diego went to their rooms and packed 1 bag each. Everything they owned fit in 2 duffel bags. 3 years of rebuilding their lives after their mother's death, reduced to clothes and photos, and Diego's medications. That's what poverty did. It made you disposable, easy to erase. The safe house was in Scottsdale, suburban and nondescript. 3 bedrooms, 2 federal agents posted outside. Maya and Diego got separate rooms, the first time Maya had had her own room in 3 years. She couldn't sleep, too wired, too much fear coursing through her veins. At midnight, Sarah knocked softly. Couldn't sleep either. They sat in the kitchen, coffee between them. The house was silent except for the refrigerator humming. You're doing the right thing, Sarah said. Everyone keeps telling me that. Why doesn't it feel right? Because there are no clean choices in dirty systems. You're just choosing which dirt you can live with. First moment of real connection between them. Sarah looked tired, human beneath the federal agent armor. My younger sister OD'd on Cartel fentanyl 6 years ago, Sarah said quietly. She was 19, nursing student at ASU. Took what she thought was Xanax for exam anxiety. Someone had pressed fentanyl into pills that looked pharmaceutical. She died in her dorm room. Her roommate found her the next morning. I'm sorry. I joined DEA 2 months later. Every case since then has been about making sure some other sister doesn't find her sibling like that. Sarah wrapped her hands around her coffee mug. I know I'm ruthless. I manipulate witnesses, leak footage, use people as bait. But this organization moves $80 million in product through Phoenix every month. That's hundreds of overdoses, thousands of destroyed families. If I have to sacrifice your comfortable anonymity to stop that, I will. Even if it kills me? Sarah met her eyes. Brutal honesty. I'll do everything I can to keep you alive, but if I have to choose between you and dismantling this network, I'll choose the network. That's the math. Maya appreciated the honesty more than false reassurance. At least you're honest about treating me like a chess piece. You're not a chess piece. You're someone who saw a person dying and refused to walk away. That makes you dangerous to people who depend on everyone looking away. That's why you matter. Later, Maya checked on Diego, found him awake, staring at the ceiling. "I'm scared," he said. Maya sat on the edge of his bed like she had when he was younger, before the accident, before their mother died. "Me too. What if something happens to you, at the trial or after? Then you'll be in witness protection. They'll take care of you." "I don't want to be taken care of. I want my sister." "You'll always have me. Different name, different city, but same person underneath." Diego looked at her. "Will I? Or will we become the people we're pretending to be?" It was a question neither of them could answer. When you took on a new identity, wore it long enough, did the real you disappear? Or did you carry your true self inside, hidden but intact? "I don't know," Maya admitted. "I guess we'll find out together." Diego reached for her hand. "Promise me something. Whatever happens, we stay together. New names, new city, whatever. But together. I promise." It was the only promise she could make that she knew she'd keep. Everything else, safety, justice, a normal life, those were beyond her control. But keeping Diego close, that she could do, that she would die trying to do. The next morning, Sarah arranged a meeting at the safe house. Sophia arrived confused, scared. An unmarked car had picked her up from class with no explanation. Diego said it was urgent. "What's going on?" Maya, Diego, and Sarah sat in the living room. Sophia stood near the door, defensive. "Sophia, there's something you need to know about your father." It took 20 minutes. Maya explained everything. Who Mateo really was, what his organization did, the shooting, the rescue, the federal case building against him. Sarah filled in details, numbers, scope, the human cost of the operation. Sophia's face cycled through disbelief, denial, anger, and finally devastating comprehension. "You're lying." Her voice shook. "My father he's a good man. He helps people. He funds scholarships. He does," Maya said gently. "That part's true, but it's also true that his money comes from destroying families. Both things are real." Sophia turned to Sarah. "You're the DEA agent building a case against him?" "Yes." "And you want my father in prison?" "I want the drug pipeline through Phoenix dismantled. Your father's cooperation can save hundreds of lives." "By ruining mine?" Sophia's voice broke. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Diego wheeled closer. "Sophia, did you know?" She looked at him with betrayal in her eyes. "When we were studying together, laughing about calculus, did you know who my father really was?" "Not at first. And when I found out, I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to hurt you." "So everyone's been lying to me." "Everyone's been trying to protect you," Maya said. "Protect me from what? The truth?" Sophia laughed bitterly. "I'm 17 years old and my entire life is a lie. My college fund is drug money. My scholarship is blood money. Everything I thought I knew about my father." She couldn't finish, just stood there crying, her whole world collapsing. Sarah's voice was professional, detached. "You're at risk, Sophia. Your father's enemies know he's cooperating with federal authorities. You're leverage. I can offer you protection, but it means leaving Phoenix, entering witness protection with your father. What about my scholarship, ASU, my friends, Diego? Gone. You become someone else. And if I refuse, then you stay and hope your father's enemies don't decide you're useful leverage. I can't guarantee your safety if you stay." Sophia looked at Maya, tears streaming down her face. What would you do? I'd want to know the truth, all of it. Make your choice with your eyes open. Can I see him, my father? He's being moved to a federal medical facility tomorrow. You have until then. Sophia stood. I need to think. Sophia, wait. Diego started. I can't look at any of you right now. She moved toward the door, where a federal agent waited to escort her. She stopped, turned back. Did you know, Maya? When you pulled him from that fire, did you know you were saving a monster? I knew I was saving a person, Maya said quietly. That's all. Sophia left without another word. Maya turned to Sarah. You just destroyed that girl's entire world. Her father did that years ago, Sarah replied. She's just finding out now. The cold truth of it settled over the room like ash. That night at 3 a.m., Maya woke to sounds of struggle. Her door was cracked open. She always left it open now, hypervigilant, unable to fully sleep. She crept to the doorway, and her blood froze. One federal agent was down in the hallway, blood pooling around him. The second agent was fighting with an intruder, the maintenance man from the hospital, the corrupt cop working with Kraus. The second agent went for his gun, too slow. The intruder shot him twice. The agent fell. The maintenance man approached the bodies to confirm the kills, professional, methodical. Then he looked up and saw Maya's door open, saw her standing there. He raised his gun. Maya ran. Grabbed Diego from his room, yanked him out of bed. Move now! What's happening? They're here. Go! They went through the house toward the back door. Maya heard the intruder behind them, footsteps steady, unhurried. He knew they were trapped. Then a second intruder entered through the front. Two-man hit team. Maya and Diego were caught between them. Gunshots exploded from outside. Different weapon, different shooter. Sarah crashed through the back door with two DEA agents. 40 seconds of chaos. Gunfire in close quarters, deafening. Maya pulled Diego to the floor, covered his body with hers. When the shooting stopped, both intruders were dead. Blood spattered across the walls. Two federal agents dead in the hallway. Sarah appeared above them. You hurt? Maya and Diego shook their heads, too shocked to speak. Sarah grabbed her radio. Safe house compromised. Two federal agents down. Need immediate extraction and medical. She turned to Maya. They got to someone on our team. Gave up the location. The corruption ran deeper than anyone had thought. Someone inside the DEA or U.S. Attorney's office had sold them out. You said we'd be safe. Maya's voice shook. I was wrong. Sarah's face was grim. New plan. We're moving the grand jury testimony up. Tomorrow morning. Then you're out of Arizona before anyone can regroup. They left the safe house at 4 a.m. 4 vehicles, heavily armed agents, racing through empty Phoenix streets toward the federal courthouse. Maya held Diego's hand in the back seat. They'd almost died. 2 good agents had died protecting them. And tomorrow she had to walk into a federal building and testify against corrupt cops who'd already proven they'd kill to stop her. I don't want to do this, she whispered. Sarah heard her from the front seat. Neither do I, but we're past the point of wanting. We're at the point of surviving. The Phoenix skyline appeared ahead of them. Dawn was breaking, orange and pink and purple, beautiful and terrible. The last sunrise before everything changed forever. The federal building wasn't designed for comfort. Maya and Diego spent what remained of the night in converted holding cells, cots with thin mattresses, fluorescent lights that never fully turned off. Neither of them slept. How could they? 2 agents had died protecting them just hours ago. Diego was in visible pain. He'd missed his therapy appointment for the first time in 18 months, and his body was reminding him why consistency mattered. He sat hunched in the corner, face tight, trying not to show it. At 6 a.m., federal prosecutor Margaret Chen arrived with Sarah. Margaret was mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She carried a newspaper and didn't bother with pleasantries. I'm sorry about last night. We're investigating how they found you. Maya looked up from her cot. How many people have to die before this is over? Margaret's face was grim. 2 federal agents last night. 5 cartel members killed in related operations this week. Mateo Salazar received death threats in the hospital. This has become a city-wide crisis. She handed Maya the newspaper. Front page. Federal investigation rocks Phoenix. Dozens of officials under scrutiny. The viral video had gone beyond social media. It had started a reckoning. Margaret sat down across from Maya. The grand jury convenes at 10 a.m. I need you ready. She walked Maya through the protocol. The questions she'd be asked. Timeline of events. What she saw. What Krause said. The money from Miguel. The threats against Diego. Your testimony establishes chain of custody for the envelope and corroborates Mateo's cooperation. Without you, our case against the corrupt officers falls apart. What happens to Mateo? Maya asked. Depends on the grand jury. If they indict the officers, Mateo's cooperation gets him a reduced sentence and witness protection. If they don't indict, he goes to trial for his own crimes. And me? You walk away. New identity if you want it, or you stay Maya Rodriguez and live with being the woman who testified against half of Phoenix's power structure. Those don't sound like good options. Margaret stood. They're the options available. Welcome to the justice system. Before the grand jury, Maya asked to see Mateo one more time. Sarah considered, then nodded. You've earned it. The hospital room was under heavy federal guard now. 4 agents outside, 2 inside. Mateo looked weaker than he had a week ago. Infection had set in. The prognosis was uncertain. You came, he said when Maya entered. I needed to ask you something. Maya sat in the chair beside his bed. Why did you do it? Build an empire on suffering? Mateo was quiet for a moment. Same reason anyone does. I was 15 when I made my first run across the border. My mother was dying, needed medicine we couldn't afford. Someone offered me $500 to drive a car from Nogales to Phoenix. I took it. His voice went distant, like he was seeing it all again. 1 run became 2. 2 became 10. By the time I was 20, I was running entire distribution networks. By 30, I was second in command. You could have stopped. No, I couldn't. That's what people who've never been poor don't understand. There's no exit ramp. You're in or you're dead. I chose to live. He paused. But I also chose to build something else. Every kid I put through school, every family I helped, that's real too. It doesn't erase the damage, but it's not nothing. Your daughter deserves to know who you really are. I told her this morning she won't see me again. She said I'm dead to her. For the first time, Maya saw Mateo break. Tears streamed down his face. This man who'd survived gunshot wounds, betrayal, 20 years in a brutal business. He was destroyed by his daughter's rejection. I've survived everything this life threw at me, but losing Sophia, that's what kills me. Then make it mean something, Maya said. Cooperate fully. Dismantle everything you built. Give those kids a future that's not built on what you did. I'm testifying this afternoon. I'm giving them everything. Names, accounts, routes, protection payments, all of it. He looked at her. You saved my life so I could destroy it. Strange mercy. Maybe that's what redemption looks like. Not rebuilding, but clearing the rubble so something new can grow. You're wise for someone so young. I'm tired for someone so young. Poverty does that, ages you faster than time. Mateo managed a weak smile. Use the scholarship money I set aside. You dropped out of Arizona State. Go back, finish your degree. I can't take your money. It's not mine anymore. I'm surrendering every asset. Federal government will liquidate it all. I'm asking the judge to establish a legitimate educational trust from the proceeds. No drug money, just the government's money from seizing mine, clean by conversion. The third twist, blood money laundered through justice into legitimate opportunity. The grand jury room felt smaller than Maya expected. 23 citizens sat in 2 rows, watching her with expressions ranging from curiosity to sympathy to skepticism. Margaret Chen stood at the prosecutor's table. A court reporter's fingers flew across her stenotype machine. Please state your name for the record. Maya Elena Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez, please describe the events of March 24th, 2026, beginning at approximately 2:47 a.m. Maya walked through it methodically. The crash, the burning vehicle, 5 witnesses walking away, the hand against the window, the impossible choice, breaking the glass with a crowbar, dragging Mateo Salazar from the flames, his weight, the blood, the envelope clutched in his hand, his whispered word, Sophia. She described the paramedics arriving, then the police, Detective Krause's careful questions. He asked me specific things. Did I see anyone else? Any other vehicles? What did the victim say to me? And the way he handled the envelope. Maya paused, remembering. He went very still when the firefighter gave it to him, sealed it in an evidence bag with unusual care. Like it wasn't just evidence, like it was something dangerous. Margaret nodded. 2 days later, did someone visit your apartment? Yes, 2 men, Miguel Cortés and Carlos Rivera. They represented Mateo Salazar's family. Maya described the $10,000 in cash, the polite threats disguised as protection offers, the revelation that Diego's therapy had been paid for, extended to a full year, not 3 months. Did you accept this money willingly? I didn't know I had a choice. They made it clear that refusal would be problematic. Did Detective Krause ever mention this payment during his initial investigation? No, he arrested me for receiving it 9 days later, but he never mentioned it the night of the fire, like he didn't know about it or was waiting to use it against me. Margaret pulled up photos on a screen. Describe your arrest. Maya detailed the fabricated charges, the 6-hour interrogation without a lawyer, Krause's direct threat against Diego. Hit-and-run victims have such bad luck in this city. Strange how they seem to happen in clusters. Several grand jury members shifted uncomfortably. He wanted me to say I never saw the envelope, never heard Mateo say anything, and refused to cooperate with federal authorities. In exchange, he'd release me and make the charges disappear. Margaret showed a photo array to the grand jury. These are Phoenix police officers identified in the financial records from the envelope. Ms. Rodriguez, do you recognize any of them? Maya pointed. Detective Krause and his partner, Rodriguez. The grand jury members took notes, faces serious. Ms. Rodriguez, knowing what you know now, that testifying would make you a target, cost you your job, upend your life, would you still cross that street? Maya paused, really considered it. I don't know. I want to say yes, that I'd always choose to save a life. But honestly, I'm not sure. I'm just glad I didn't know what it would cost when I made the choice. Ignorance gave me courage I might not have had with full information. The raw honesty resonated. She wasn't performing heroism for them. She was admitting complexity. That made her more believable than any rehearsed speech. Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. You're excused. The grand jury deliberated for 3 hours. Maya, Diego, and Sarah sat in a waiting room with uncomfortable chairs and bad coffee. Time moved like syrup. What happens if they don't indict? Diego finally asked. Sarah answered without looking up from her phone. The officers walk. Mateo goes to trial without a cooperation agreement, and Phoenix stays exactly as corrupt as it's always been. And if they do indict? 9 police officers, 3 judges, and a city council member get arrested. Mateo gets a reduced sentence. You go into witness protection. Phoenix has to confront what it's become. Diego looked at Maya. Either way, we lose our home. You lost that the moment Maya crossed the street, Sarah said. Now you're just finding out what you get in exchange. The court officer emerged. The grand jury has reached a decision. They filed back into the courtroom. Maya's hands were shaking. This was it. Either justice or more of the same corruption. The foreman stood, middle-aged woman, teacher probably, based on the way she held herself. On all counts related to corruption, racketeering, and conspiracy to commit murder, true bill, we indict. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Several Phoenix PD officers had shown up to watch. Their faces went pale. Margaret turned to Sarah. Arrest warrants? Sarah was already on her phone. Being executed now. She turned the screen toward Maya. Real-time updates flooding in. Detective Krause taken into custody at the precinct. His partner arrested at home. 3 other officers at various locations across Phoenix. Judge Marcus Freeman arrested at the courthouse. City Councilman Robert Hayes arrested at his office. The courtroom TV flickered to life. Breaking news banner. Massive corruption bust in Phoenix Police Department. 9 officers arrested in federal sweep. Phoenix was watching. The city that had taught people to look away was now being forced to see everything. The grand jury just changed everything. 9 police officers arrested, a cartel lieutenant cooperating, and Maya, the waitress who just wanted to save a life, became the person who exposed an entire system. If you're inspired by people who refuse to look away, hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will show you the real cost of courage. 6 months passed in a blur of trials and testimony and waiting. 9 police officers convicted, sentences ranging from 8 to 25 years. Detective Krause got 22. His partner got 18. 3 judges disbarred and imprisoned. A city council member facing federal racketeering charges. Mateo Salazar pleaded guilty to reduced charges, 12-year sentence with credit for cooperation. The cartel network he'd helped build was dismantled. 37 arrests, $480 million in assets seized. Phoenix PD underwent federal oversight and reform. New leadership, new accountability boards, new training protocols. And Maya and Diego became Elena and Marcus Torres. Seattle, Washington, Capitol Hill neighborhood, small 1-bedroom apartment. Maya took the bedroom, Diego the living room, just like old times, but with different names and a rainier climate. Diego enrolled at the University of Washington. Engineering program, full scholarship from the seized asset trust Mateo had requested be established. His blood money, clean through federal seizure, now funding the education of 51 students. Maya worked at a local diner while finishing her degree online. Arizona State had transferred her credits. She was majoring in psychology now, not business like before. Trauma had a way of clarifying what mattered. Sophia was also in Seattle somewhere. Different neighborhood, different name. Witness protection rules meant no contact. Maya saw her once, across campus, but they both pretended not to recognize each other. The adjustment was brutal. Maya struggled with the new identity. Elena Torres felt like a costume that didn't fit. Diego's therapy had been interrupted. New specialists who didn't know his body, his injury patterns. He'd lost progress. Both dealt with isolation. They couldn't contact anyone from Phoenix, not Ramon, not Linda, not the regulars at the diner. Depression set in. Maya stopped going to online classes, called in sick to the diner, stopped showering. The apartment became a mess. You saved someone's life and lost yours, Diego said one night, finding her crying in the dark. Sometimes I wish I'd just kept wiping tables. You don't mean that, don't I? We lost everything. Mom's grave. I can't even visit. Our friends, our home. For what? So some cops go to prison and a cartel boss gets a reduced sentence. For doing what Mom taught us, not looking away. Mom also taught us to take care of family. I'm not sure I did that. It was her lowest point. questioning everything. Sarah Chen visited a week later. She'd been checking on them, calling every few weeks, making sure they were alive and safe. She found Maya in rough shape. "You're experiencing delayed trauma response. It's normal." Normal. Nothing about this is normal. "You're alive. That's not normal. That's a miracle." "But miracles don't mean you don't hurt." Sarah gave her a therapist's contact, PTSD specialist who worked with protected witnesses. "She helped me after my sister died." First time Sarah had shown real vulnerability. They were both survivors. March 2027, 1 year since the rescue. Maya, Elena now she had to remember, was working the morning shift at the Seattle diner when her coworker rushed over with her phone. "Hey, you gotta see this. Remember that viral video from Phoenix last year? The waitress who saved that guy from the burning car?" Maya's heart stopped. "What about it?" "Anniversary special on the news. They're calling it the video that changed Phoenix. Look at this." The coworker handed over her phone. News segment playing. 1 year after viral rescue changed Phoenix, the reporter stood outside the Copper Moon Diner. It was closed now under new ownership, but the building remained. Interviews with Phoenix residents followed. A woman in her 30s. "That video made us ask hard questions. Why did we all become the people who walk away? What happened to us?" A man with his daughter. "She saw it and asked me if I would have helped. I couldn't answer her. That bothered me for months. Still does." A community organizer. "We've seen measurable change. Bystander intervention training requests up 300%. Good Samaritan acts reported more frequently. It's like the city's conscience woke up." The footage played again. Maya silhouetted against the flames, breaking the window, dragging Mateo out, and in the background, visible and damning, the witnesses walking away. Maya watched herself, tears streaming down her face. "You okay?" her coworker asked. "Yeah, just, that took a lot of courage." "Right? Makes you wonder where she is now. I hope someone's taking care of her." Maya wiped her eyes. "I hope so too." That evening, Diego came home excited. "I got accepted into the graduate engineering program, full ride." "That's amazing." "And Maya," he stopped, corrected himself. "Elena, I've been walking with just a cane, no wheelchair for 3 weeks now." She hadn't even noticed, too lost in her own grief. The Seattle therapy team found the same hip alignment issue, different approach, same result. "I'm getting better," he demonstrated, walked across the apartment unaided, just a slight limp. Maya broke down. All of this, at least something good came from it. Not something, everything. Diego sat beside her. "I'm walking. Those kids have scholarships. Phoenix is changing. You did that. We did that." First moment of real peace. Maybe the cost had been worth it after all. 2 months later, Maya was at the University of Washington Library, finals week, psychology degree almost complete. She was studying for her trauma counseling exam when someone sat across from her. She looked up. Sophia. Both froze. "Elena Torres," Sophia said, reading the name on Maya's student badge. "That's what it says." Maya chose her words carefully. "Do I know you?" "I'm Jessica Ramirez. At least that's what my ID says. But you know who I really am." They weren't supposed to have contact. Witness protection rules. Maya glanced around nervously. "I know," Sophia said, "but I needed to see you, to say something." Pause. "For a year I've hated you. You destroyed my father, my life, everything I knew. I'm sorry. Don't be." Sophia's voice softened. "I visited him last month, federal prison in California. He told me everything, the whole truth." Her voice broke. "The man I knew was a lie, but the man I met in that prison, the one who's teaching other inmates, who finalized the scholarship fund, who talks about redemption, Maybe that's who he really wanted to be. He's trying, Maya said quietly. He told me what you said to him, about clearing rubble so something new can grow. I think about that every day. Sophia slid a paper across the table, a manuscript. I wrote this, my story, growing up as the daughter of a cartel boss without knowing it, learning the truth, rebuilding. I'm publishing it next month under my real name, Sophia Salazar. That's dangerous. So was crossing a street to save a stranger. But you did it anyway. You taught me that hiding from truth doesn't protect you. It just makes you complicit in your own ignorance. Sophia stood to leave. I don't know if I can forgive you for what happened, but I understand why you did it. That's more than I've been able to give myself. Diego's doing well. I see him sometimes on campus. We don't talk. We're not supposed to, but I see him walking. And I know that's partly because of what you did too. She paused at the edge of the table. My father asked me to tell you something if I ever saw you. He said, "Thank you for giving me the chance to become the man I should have been." Maya was crying now. Tell him I hope he finds peace. I will. Sophia walked away. Two people whose lives had been destroyed and rebuilt by one impossible choice. Maya watched her go, feeling something lift. Not forgiveness exactly, but acknowledgement. Complexity could coexist with healing. 3 months later, a package arrived at Maya's apartment, forwarded through witness protection channels. No return address. Just a note. Thought you should see this. SC Sarah Chen. Inside, a USB drive. Documentary titled Phoenix Rising: How One Act Changed a City. Maya and Diego watched together on his laptop. The documentary featured everything: analysis of the viral video's impact on civic behavior, interviews with reformed police officers talking about the cultural shift in the department, community programs started in response to the video, and a scholarship program, the Maya Rodriguez Memorial Scholarship for students pursuing careers in public service. They thought she was dead, simpler for witness protection that way. Ramon appeared on screen. She was just this quiet woman who worked hard and never complained, but when it mattered, she didn't hesitate. That's real heroism, not the flashy kind, just refusing to be the person who looks away. Linda, the former manager, I fired her because I was scared. I've regretted that every day since. Fear makes us cruel. Courage makes us human. She chose human. Phoenix Police Chief. The corruption exposed by Ms. Rodriguez's testimony forced systemic reform, new oversight, ethics training, community accountability boards. We're not perfect, but we're better. The statistics rolled. Emergency calls for assistance up 45% in Phoenix. Bystander intervention rates increased significantly. City invested $12 million in community safety programs. 127 students received scholarships from the seized asset trust. Phoenix voted Most Improved City for Civic Engagement by a national nonprofit. You changed an entire city, Diego said. I just didn't want someone to burn to death. And that's what makes it matter. You didn't set out to be a hero. You just refused to be a coward. There's a difference. Maya watched the faces of scholarship recipients, kids like Diego, like she used to be, getting chances they wouldn't have had otherwise. The equation was finally balancing: cost versus impact, loss versus gain. Everything she'd given up measured against everything that had grown in its place. Maybe it wasn't a fair trade, but it was the trade she'd made, and she could live with it. 6 months later, 2 years after crossing that street, Maya graduated from the University of Washington with a psychology degree. She was accepted into a social work program specializing in trauma counseling. Her plan: work with crime victims and protected witnesses, turn her trauma into expertise. She understood what her future clients would face because she'd lived it. Diego was in graduate school now, walking without assistance, dating a classmate he'd met in his biomedical engineering program. Both had built genuine new lives, different names, but real lives. First day of her practicum at a non-profit serving vulnerable populations. Her supervisor asked the standard question, "Why do you want to do this work?" Maya didn't hesitate. "Because I understand what it costs to do the right thing in systems designed to punish it. And I want to help people survive those costs." That night, she wrote in her journal, the therapist had suggested it, a way to process everything. 2 years ago, I crossed the street and lost everything. My name, my city, my invisibility. But I gained something too. The knowledge that I'm the kind of person who crosses the street. In a world of bystanders, I'm someone who acts. That's not heroism. That's just being human when it's expensive to be human. Diego walks now. Sophia's rebuilding. Phoenix is changing. Mateo's finding redemption. And me? I'm learning that sometimes the cost of integrity is everything, and that's still a price worth paying. Because the alternative, becoming someone who looks away, that would have cost my soul, and some losses you never recover from. I'm not Maya Rodriguez anymore. I'm Elena Torres. But I'm also still the woman who crossed that street. Both names, both identities, both true. And that's enough. Maya lost everything to save a stranger, but what she gained was herself. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes the bravest thing we can do is refuse to be bystanders in our own lives. Late March 2229, 3 years to the day since Maya had crossed that street in Phoenix. She was making coffee in her Seattle apartment when Diego brought in the mail. One envelope stood out. Official postmark, Federal Correctional Institution, Lompoc, California. From Mateo. Maya's hands shook as she opened it. Ms. Rodriguez, I hope you don't mind me using your real name. It's the name of the woman who saved my life. And I honor that person more than any identity you've taken since. The letter detailed his journey. He'd completed a substance abuse counseling certification, now worked with other inmates, teaching them what he wished someone had taught him at 15. Sophia visited quarterly. They were slowly, carefully building a real relationship. Not father and daughter like before, something more honest, something built on truth instead of lies. I've been diagnosed with stage 3 liver cancer. Prognosis is uncertain, but I'm not writing for sympathy. I'm writing because I need you to know that every day I've lived since you pulled me from that fire, I've tried to earn it. I'll never balance the scales. The harm I caused can't be undone, but I died trying to tip them towards something better. A newspaper clipping fell from the envelope. Phoenix ceremony. The abandoned car wash lot had been converted into a park, Rodriguez Memorial Park, in honor of the unknown hero who reminded Phoenix that courage means refusing to look away when someone needs help. They still thought she was dead or disappeared forever. Mateo's handwriting continued. They named a park after you and they don't even know you're still out there, living quietly, probably still helping people. That's the most beautiful kind of heroism, the kind that doesn't need recognition, the kind that just is. Maya stared at the letter for hours. Diego found her at the kitchen table as afternoon light faded. You okay? Mateo's dying, and Phoenix named a park after me. Are you thinking about going back? Maya looked up at him. I need to see it, the place where everything changed. I need to see what came after. Witness protection doesn't allow returns. I know. But maybe some things matter more than rules. Diego didn't hesitate. I'll come with you. It's dangerous. Everything you do is dangerous. That's never stopped you. He smiled. Besides, I learned from the best. Maya managed her first smile in days. When did my little brother become so brave? Around the time you dragged a cartel boss out of a burning car. They drove from Seattle to Phoenix. 2 days through changing landscape, evergreen forests giving way to high desert, rain replaced by relentless sun. They didn't tell Sarah. This was unauthorized, potentially dangerous, definitely against witness protection protocols. But some things transcended rules. Crossing into Arizona felt like crossing into a past life. The desert landscape was familiar and foreign at once. 3 years away, but it felt like decades. The Phoenix skyline appeared on the horizon, shimmering in heat waves. Maya's hands gripped the steering wheel tighter. "You sure about this?" Diego asked. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." They navigated to the old neighborhood near the I-10 industrial corridor. Maya barely recognized it. New businesses had sprouted where abandoned buildings once stood. Streets were cleaner, better lit. The pawn shop was now a community center. The payday loan office had become a health clinic. The Copper Moon Diner had been transformed into Sunrise Community Kitchen, a non-profit serving free meals. The transformation was visible, tangible, real. And where the abandoned car wash had been, there was now a park, Rodriguez Memorial Park. Maya parked across the street, same spot where she'd stood at the diner window 3 years ago. They crossed together, Diego walking steadily beside her, no wheelchair, barely a limp. The park was small but beautiful. Playground where children laughed. Benches where elderly couples sat. A memorial wall covered with messages. The centerpiece stopped Maya in her tracks. A bronze sculpture, abstract but unmistakable. One figure pulling another from flames. The metal caught the Arizona sun, gleaming. The plaque read, "In honor of Maya Rodriguez, who reminded Phoenix that courage means refusing to look away when someone needs help. March 24th, 2026. The wall behind it was covered with notes, photos, flowers. Messages from strangers. "Thank you for showing us how to be human. You changed my life by changing this city. My daughter knows your name. She knows what you did. She's braver because of you. Heroes don't need recognition, but we needed to say thank you anyway." Diego was crying, reading them. "Maya, look at this. Hundreds of notes, photos of scholarship recipients and graduation caps, stories of people helped by the cultural shift Maya had started." Maya stood at the exact spot where the Escalade had burned, closed her eyes, remembered the heat, the smoke, the fear, the impossible choice, the hand against the window, her mother's voice, opened her eyes. Now there was a playground, children laughing, life where death had almost been. An elderly Latina woman approached. "Are you here for the memorial?" "In a way." "Did you know her?" "No, but she saved my son." Maya looked confused. "Your son was..." "Not directly, but after her story went viral, the community started a bystander intervention program. 6 months later, my son had a seizure on the bus. 3 people stopped to help, called 911, kept him safe until paramedics arrived. Before that video, Phoenix people just watched. Not anymore." The woman smiled. "She gave us permission to care about each other again." She handed Maya a flower. "For the memorial. I come every week." The woman walked away before Maya could respond. Maya placed the flower at the sculpture's base, realized something profound. The impact wasn't just the direct things, the investigation, the arrests, the reforms. It was the permission to be human again. The next day, they drove to California, FCI Lompoc, medium security federal prison, visiting room sterile and monitored, cameras in every corner, guards watching everything. Mateo entered escorted by 2 officers. He was thinner, grayer, moving slowly like each step, hurt. But his eyes were bright, alert, alive. He saw Maya and stopped. "You came." "I almost didn't." Mateo sat across from her. Diego had stayed outside, giving them privacy. Silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. "I saw the park," Maya finally said, "in Phoenix. They think you're dead or gone forever. Easier that way for witness protection. Maybe I am dead. Elena Torres is who I am now. Mateo shook his head. No, you're both. And neither. You're the woman who crosses streets when everyone else walks away. That transcends names. Maya took a breath. I came to tell you, I forgive you. Mateo's eyes filled with tears. You shouldn't. I know, but I'm doing it anyway, because holding on to the anger was killing me. You've spent 3 years trying to earn the life I saved. That has to mean something. I'm dying. The cancer. I know. I'm not afraid. Mateo's voice was steady. I've lived longer than I deserved, and I spent it becoming something better than I was. Because of you. Not because of me. Because you chose to. You gave me the choice. Before you, there was no path out. Just deeper in or dead. You opened a third option by saving me when you shouldn't have. His voice broke. Sophia's graduating next month, engineering degree. She asked me to walk her down the aisle when she gets married someday. I probably won't live that long, but the fact that she asked, you gave me back my daughter. Whatever hell I go to, I'll go grateful. You're not going to hell. You're going wherever people who try to become better go. Mateo smiled through tears. If I see your mother there, I'll tell her what you did, how you didn't look away. Maya was crying now too. Tell her I kept my promise. The guard indicated time was up. Mateo stood slowly. Thank you, Maya Rodriguez, for everything. Thank you for trying to earn it. They didn't shake hands. Prison rules. But the exchange completed something neither had known, needed completion. Redemption isn't erasing harm. It's acknowledging it and building something better anyway. September 2029. 6 months after visiting Mateo, Maya was at work, fully licensed trauma counselor now, her own office at a nonprofit in downtown Seattle. Normal Tuesday, meeting with a new client, woman in her 30s. Testimony against a domestic abuser had put her in danger, considering witness protection. How do you live with losing everything to do the right thing? The woman asked, voice shaking. Maya leaned forward. You learn that everything was never really yours if keeping it required looking away from truth, and you build something new from what remains. But I'm so scared. Fear is appropriate. This is scary. What you're facing is terrifying, but regret is worse than fear. You can survive fear. You can work through fear. Regret eats you from inside until there's nothing left. The session ended. The woman hugged her. Thank you. I don't know how you understand, but you do. I just recognize courage when I see it. After work, Maya walked to her car through Seattle rain. Typical autumn weather. Gray, steady, the kind of rain that soaks through everything. She heard the crash. 2 vehicles colliding at the intersection ahead, metal crunching, glass shattering. 1 car smoking, driver slumped over the wheel. A crowd gathered on the sidewalk, everyone watching. Phones out, recording, nobody moving to help. Maya felt it. The pull, the impossible choice. The moment repeating like a nightmare or a test she couldn't escape. She dropped her bag, started forward, then stopped. 3 people were already running toward the wreck. A college student broke the window with her backpack. An elderly man was on his phone calling 911. A young mother directed traffic, keeping cars away from the scene. More people joined, not watching, helping. Maya stood in the rain, tears mixing with rainwater, watching people choose to be human when it was inconvenient. A person beside her spoke. Glad someone's helping. Couldn't live with myself if I just watched. Me neither, Maya said. I saw this video once. Woman in Phoenix saved a guy from a burning car. Ever since then, I think about her when something happens. Like, would I be a person who crosses the street or who walks away? Maya's voice was soft. Which are you? Still figuring it out, but I'm trying to be the first one. The person walked toward the accident to help. Paramedics arrived. The situation was handled. The driver would be okay. Maya got in her car and called Diego. "I saw something today." She told him about the accident, the helpers, the stranger's words. "You changed the world, Maya." Maya watched the rain on her windshield. "No, I just reminded people they could choose too." And that was enough. 2025. 5 years since Maya Rodriguez crossed the street and changed everything. Maya was 33 now, senior trauma counselor, published author. Her memoir, written under Elena Torres, titled The Cost of Crossing, One Woman's Journey from Bystander to Witness, had become an unexpected bestseller. The story resonated with readers processing their own moral crossroads, their own impossible choices. She spoke at conferences about trauma, courage, and the psychology of intervention. She still lived in Seattle, still used Elena Torres publicly. But privately, she'd reconciled both identities. Maya Rodriguez and Elena Torres. Both names, both real, both her. Diego was 25, walking fully recovered, working on accessibility technology for disabled individuals. His graduate research focused on affordable prosthetics and mobility devices. Every invention designed for people who couldn't afford the expensive solutions. He'd turned his own struggle into purpose. Both siblings maintained loose contact with Sarah Chen, who'd retired from the DEA and now taught criminal justice at the University of Washington. They had dinner once a month, 3 survivors sharing stories. The Arizona Second Chance Educational Fund had put 287 students through college. Sophia Salazar ran the program now. Her published memoir had made her a public figure in criminal justice reform, speaking at conferences about redemption, truth, and breaking cycles. Mateo had died in prison in 2030. Peaceful death. Liver cancer finally winning. Sophia was at his side. They'd reconciled fully. His last words to her: "I became the father I should have been too late. Make sure those kids become who they can be in time." After Mateo's death, Sophia and Diego had reconnected, started dating. We're building a life together now. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The waitress's brother and the cartel boss's daughter, both saved by the same woman's impossible choice. The original video had 47 million views now, used in ethics classes, psychology courses, social work training programs across the country. The Phoenix video had become a cultural reference point for bystander intervention. Academic papers analyzed its impact on civic behavior, but Maya still didn't watch it. Didn't need to. She lived its legacy every day in the clients she helped, the culture that had shifted, the people who crossed streets because she had crossed first. Today, she was guest lecturing at the University of Washington. Social work ethics class. A student asked the question she'd answered 100 times, but always considered carefully. If you could go back, knowing everything you know now, the cost, the pain, the losses, would you still cross that street? Maya paused. Genuine consideration. I used to think the answer was yes, because of all the good that came after. The investigations, the reforms, the scholarships. The lives changed, but that makes it transactional. I'll suffer if the math works out positive. That's not how moral courage works. The real answer, I'd cross the street because I can't be the person who doesn't. The cost, whatever it is always less than the cost of becoming someone who looks away. Because that death is permanent. You can recover from almost anything except losing yourself. The student looked thoughtful. That's both inspiring and terrifying. Maya smiled. Yes, it's both. Always both. Class ended. Students filed out, chatting about the lecture, about courage, about choices. Maya packed her bags slowly, looked out the window at Seattle rain. Somewhere right now, someone was facing an impossible choice, standing at a metaphorical street, deciding whether to cross or walk away. Because of her, maybe a few more people would cross than would have before. That's enough, she thought. That has to be enough. And somehow, miraculously, it was.